This is Group 6, and our presentation on our food-related issue was how this food is made and how that food affects both your mental health and your body. I am London Dudenhofer, and I am doing the first and the second slide of this presentation. Madison Sagreaves is doing the third, Daniel Brewer is doing the fourth and the fifth, and then Hassan Mohammed is doing the sixth slide. For my slide, I decided to do the overview. So I dived into the specifics of how ultra-processed food affects your mental health and that there is a positive connection between ultra-processed food and stuff like depression. I researched several studies that went into this, and most of them, all of them, said that there was a positive connection. So 3 factors that add up to this development is that basic nutrients and vitamins are not being met when you consume a fast food diet or any ultra-processed food, just because those things do not prioritize vitamins. They prioritize yumminess, and that usually is not like a connected spectrum. Fast foods also fill you up quickly but leave the body empty. This is observed in Paulin's section of the book where him and his families ate McDonald's, and he noted on the fact that they all ate it very fast but then felt pretty empty, which is part of the reason why these things have big serving sizes, so as to fill you up, because it really doesn't do much. The third factor for this development of this issue is that what you taste really isn't reality. This is also noted in Paulin's book, where a chicken nugget doesn't really taste like chicken, but nugget. Processed food companies want you to come back, so they make their foods addicting on purpose, like in that little quote I have at the bottom. Highly processed food with added amounts of fat and or refined carbohydrates are associated with addicting like eating. Processed food addiction is a global epidemic, so really anywhere McDonald's or pizza or Doritos can be found is where this addiction can also be found. And then just in the US, 73% of the food supply is ultra-processed, which means that everybody's eating these foods and that it is pretty hard to avoid these things, even when you want to. So those are my slides. I'm going to pass it on to Madison.
Who are most likely impacted by these ultra-processed foods? Well, we can look at who is most likely to consume fast food, and we can see that there's a difference in incomes and a difference in age. 31.7% of lower income households compared to 42% of higher income households consume more fast food. Then we look at age, there's 44.9% of younger adults. This is ages 20 to 39 compared to 24.1% of older adults. This is 60 years old and up. Now we can look at processed foods. Who is more likely to consume processed foods? That would be lower income households due to limited transportation and access to healthy and affordable food. We've seen now who is impacted. Let's look at what are the impacts, the hidden costs of ultra-processed foods. We can see that UPS and mental health problems are now seen to have a connection. The intake of high sugars can lead to blood sugar swings going up and down. This disrupts mood and cognition, which can lead to mental health conditions. These conditions can range from a variety of things. In the food and behavior research, it states that UPF intakes were linked with 50% higher rates of anxiety, sleep problems, and other common mental health symptoms, and a 22% increase in depression. This just goes to show that there are more people that are susceptible to ultra-processed foods and fast food, and the impacts of of consuming fast food and ultra-processed foods can be very dangerous.
Now that we've discussed and identified our ethical issue of mental health, we can next evaluate it using some ethical frameworks. The first framework I am going to talk about is called virtue ethics. This framework is mainly about seeking happiness for yourself regardless of the consequences, and in the end achieving contentment. Within the film Food Inc., it was mentioned that cheaper foods are more unhealthy and play into the natural craving for fats and sugar. This can mainly be seen with fast food. Fast food brings us happiness. However, it also brings about negative effects towards our mental health. So by using this, as well as the ethical framework of virtue ethics, we can evaluate our ethical issue and come up with a solution. The next ethical framework I'm going to talk about is called rule-based ethics. This is mainly a rational internal process towards justice and morality, with a heavy emphasis on duty and rules. This can mainly be seen within the text of Holland's book Omnivore's Dilemma, where there is a sustainable farmer who shows his locally grown system in which demonstrates to others how we could apply that system over the country and within supermarkets. Using that reference, we can universalize our choices and our actions, as well as thinking of the consequences of both of them. By using the term utilitarianism, we could think, what could happen if everyone did what I did? And based off of our choices, and if everyone does the same, the outcome will have high rewards. Your food choice will influence companies, the production of certain products, as well as aspects of food research.
Hello, I'm Hassan Mohammed, and I'll be presenting the ethical resolution to the food-related mental health concerns discussed in this presentation. First, let's consider public awareness. According to the CDC, only 1 in 10 American adults meets the recommended intake for fruits and vegetables. This low consumption rate highlights a significant gap in nutritional knowledge and behavior. Many people are simply unaware of how diet affects not only their physical health, but also their mental well-being. To address this, educational initiatives need to incorporate information about both physical and psychological effects of diet, making the connection clear and actionable. Second, the cost of healthy eating is a barrier that cannot be ignored. The Harvard School of Public Health found that a healthy diet costs around $1.50 more per day than a typical diet heavy in ultra-processed foods. While this might seem like a modest amount, it adds up to around $550 annually per person. For many families, especially those with low income, this is a meaningful expense that limits their food choices. Moreover, when considering the long-term consequences of diet-related diseases, the upfront savings of cheap processed foods often lead to higher medical costs later. Ethically, this points to a need to improve affordability and equitable access to nutritious food options. Third, on a policy level, the World Health Organization's Global Action Plan provides important recommendations. This plan advocates for taxing unhealthy foods, subsidizing healthy options like fruits and vegetables, and implementing clear labeling to inform consumers about the degree of food processing and its health effects. Such policies can help create an environment where making healthy, ethical food choices is easier and more accessible to everyone. The ethical resolution to problems posed by ultra-processed foods involves 3 key strategies. First, increasing public education about diet and mental health. Second, making healthy food affordable and accessible. And third, implementing effective policies based on international recommendations. These steps together offer a realistic and actionable path forward toward a healthier society.
And then finally, here is our works cited. We have 2 slides, so this one and then this one. And yeah, that is our presentation. I hope you have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning.